Good evening, parents. This is Tom Swiontek, sociology teacher at Lyons Township. And tonight we are going to learn more about the sociology class. So let me share a screen and we'll go to our presentation, open this up, and let's begin. So welcome to the class. It's funny, I've always had this in my slideshow, but now it's more true than ever. Students are sometimes in bed while taking classes because of remote learning. Hasn't been a problem, but it is just kind of ironic here that I have the slide in here. All right, so first of all, this is a picture of me from the day that LT back in May asked us to come clean out our classrooms, knowing that we wouldn't return in the spring. So I took that picture for the seniors in my class to kind of say goodbye, show them how sad and lonely the classroom appeared without students in it, and to show off my quarantine beard that I was growing at the time. I am the recycling club sponsor at North Campus. I also coach the debate team. Have been doing those for both of those for 15, 16 years. I am a big fan of travel and the impact that travel can have, as well as this picture, or these pictures are from a mission trip I did 2 spring breaks ago with my kids. We went to Oaxaca, Mexico, and we stayed at an orphanage. We did some rehab of the building while also spending time working with, teaching, as well as learning from the kids who lived in the orphanage. Great experience, and travel is one of those experiences that fortunate to have, and so I like to share that with my students and talk about the holistic benefits of travel and learning about other cultures and spending time in other places. Here's a picture of my son. I showed this to you just so that you're aware that I have teenage children myself. My son just graduated in the spring, as you can tell. And he's now a student at Indiana University studying business. And so I definitely feel for parents of high school students right now, any students right now, because it's just so unusual, and many of the experiences that we hope that they would have haven't happened and may not happen. Ideally, we'll get back to in-person and normal, but that's out of my control, out of our control in many degrees. So we're making the best we can, and Zoom is working quite well, but just wanted to kind of have some empathy. There's a picture of my daughter who's a junior, as well as our dogs. So just in general, I've taught sociology for 16 or 17 years. I'm also teaching civics for my 4th year, and then I've taught U.S. history and con law, world history. I have degrees in anthropology and political science, as well as a master's in education from National Louis. Like I said, I've got dogs and cats and love travel, and I say I'm a total dork. It's a dork for my subject. I love sociology. I think it's so meaningful and relevant to the world that we live in, and so I get really nerdy about using the sociological perspective when we kind of look at what's going on in the world. And that sociological perspective, one of the key parts of it, it's scientific, it's unbiased, it's meant to look at society from a lens of as if it's new, and not with judgment, not with bias, etc. So what is it? It's scientific study of societies, human behavior. Really, the one thing that I try to express is that, yes, as much as we are individuals, we also are individuals that are influenced by society, by the technology, by the values and norms, the laws of the time period in which we live. And so that shapes who we are, shapes our perspectives, etc. We also talk about technology and how technology brings about social change. And we look at examples from the past as well as current examples in our own lives. Okay. This demonstrates through a picture much of what I just said. Right? I show this picture in class and I say this is a Sox versus the Detroit Tigers, 1957, I believe. Home run is landing over here, the drink's falling on the player's head. But look at the spectators, right? And they all say, oh, they're dressed so differently for the bleachers. We're wearing suits, ties, fancy hats, right? Many of them are smoking cigarettes or cigars. You see very few women. You see, it's a relatively homogeneous crowd. There isn't a lot of diversity, etc. And we talk about, well, let's compare that to, the outfield at a ball game, in 21st century, and they talk about the differences, and we speculate as to reasons for that. And but just give a sense that times change, people change, society changes. And then I also point out this man right here, smoking the cigar, is my grandfather, and he dressed like that all the time. So it's a fond memory of him. Our courses, our subjects for the semester are the sociological perspective, which is the study of the history of sociology, what it is, what our theories are that we use. We learn about culture, subcultures, material cultures, all the different types of cultures, and what we can learn from studying a culture, whether it's ours or another. The third unit has to do with socialization, and this is really understanding the factors that affect the development of our self as individuals, as well as group members that identify in many different groups. We talk about social deviance, what deviance is, what the theories are, and so we get into issues of like criminal justice and so forth. We look at social institutions. So in this unit, we primarily focus on the role that family plays in our lives, but in society as well as education and so forth. In the last unit, we look at social stratification and inequality. So we learn about social class, not just in our society, but stratification, of wealth and power and resources around the world. We also look at the issue of race, ethnicity, and the role that it has, what it is, but the role it has in our society, as well as ways in which we can examine it in ways where we maybe bring about social change. Okay, so those are the topics, the skills that we apply, sociological theories, we evaluate sociological data, and I'm stressing that we do this sociologically, which is using the social science. We look at the data, develop and support claims and find evidence for that, and develop our analysis skills. And then this is a class where we are encouraged to question and discuss, and so we'll be assessed on those. So you'll find we use these platforms, all the materials that students use and interact with me are found on Canvas, including the Zoom link, but also the slideshows and resources for the day. We might use Google for creating slideshows or pulling up documents or sharing documents, and then Infinite Campus is where you find the grade material. This is for you to better understand that you'll notice in Infinite Campus there will be formative and summative marks, and they'll be associated with the skills The formative are simply the practice, the things that we're learning. So we're not going to give a score for things that we're practicing. And it's like you don't count the free throws made during practice, but you practice those things, and then there's an assessment, there's a game, right? So the summative is the game. It's not always a test with an essay or multiple choice. It can be an assignment in which they know ahead of time that this is going to be assessing their knowledge that they've acquired during a unit. So we do summatives early to practice, formatives towards an end of the unit to demonstrate what we've learned. Okay. With this being remote learning, things are, as you know, different and sometimes weird, maybe a little bit awkward, but it's an opportunity for us to, as a parent, I would like to think that's an opportunity for me to get more involved in the learning that my children do, especially my daughter who's in high school, and to offer encouragement to students, ask them what we're learning, ask them how we're, what's happening in breakout rooms, and just try and be patient and recognize they're on the screen a lot during the day, and maybe encourage them to get outside, jump on a trampoline, take the dogs for a walk, go to the forest reserve, ride a bike, be a kid. All those things are things that I try to keep in the back of my mind with my own children, but also I think it's relevant to all children. So hope this was helpful. Have a great day. And if you have questions, please email me.